everybody. Welcome to Hear from an Expert for Druva. We've got Kye from Druva here, and I'm Martin Walters. I'm Technical Account Manager at Murdoch Webster, and we've got Chris, Managing Director at Murdoch Webster as well. So yeah, just wanted to say thank you for joining us. Make sure you will pop your emails in the chat so we can send you your Uber Eats voucher. And yeah, just jump into a bit of an agenda. We'll go over a couple of things around why Murdoch Webster and what Druva is and our relationship with Druva. Take a few questions and answers, and then go through some next steps if you wanted more information about Druva.
Welcome, thanks for coming. Many of you know that Leanne Taylor used to run these or host them, and she has moved on to do her own thing. I'm catching up with her later, actually. But we used to have Leanne on here being chirping away, and now we've got Maddie. So I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's what it is. So sorry, Maddie. All right, so Druva, Murdoch Webster. We've been working with Druva now for quite some time, and we've actually migrated fully to Druva for our backup cyber resiliency solution. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this stuff because we've got this is here from an expert. Like I say all the time, we want to get over the Kye, the expert, as quick as we can. But just some of the things that we've noticed ourselves, and also talking to some customers. With backup solutions now, there's either an on-prem backup storage device, or it's heading off into some other person's paid storage blob somewhere. And typically there's still connection to that, or you spend some time to make it immutable, but is it really immutable? So what we've noticed with Druva is that it is fully, and I'm sure Kye will go into this, a really solid cyber resilient solution, so that if anything does happen, your backups are typically safe and air gapped away from the rest of your platform, which we find super important, especially with today's advanced cyber attacks, being able to find your backups and encrypt them as well. And the other thing we've heard as well is, people managing hardware. And we don't need to do that. We don't need to worry about storage because it's all included with the licenses in Druva, which we find fantastic. In fact, we have 25 user licenses, and we're nowhere near the amount of storage use that we've got allocation to, which is fantastic as well. So there's no additional management of network, of workloads and storage, which is fantastic. But like I say, there's not much for me to go on about. It's been a long time since I was an expert. I've got great people around me now that do that, so that's fantastic. And I'm just going to hand straight over to Kye to get into the good stuff, because I think it's very worthwhile seeing this. And I think it's going to pose a lot of questions after it, which we'll be happy to answer. Chuck them in the chat, send them to us directly, and we'll get onto those as well. So over to you, Kye.
Awesome. Thank you. So thank you. So yeah, my name's Kye Bidzinski. I am the sales engineer for Druva for the ANZ region. I promise I'm not going to bombard people with slides today. We're going to go through a few different things around, difference between traditional backup versus data resiliency, and then I'm going to show you the console. The benefit of SaaS is that I can show you the console, so that we don't need to sit here and look at slides today. I know we don't have a heap of time, so as Chris said, I want to leave time for questions at the end as well. So if you need more information or you want to go through this more in depth, please reach out to the Murdoch team, and we'll happily get it arranged. So before we get into it, what is Druva? So Druva is a built in the cloud, 100% SaaS data protection company. We are built and designed to run in AWS using AWS microservices. We are not an on-prem backup solution that's been shoehorned to run in the cloud, so we have the ability to scale up and down as required, while providing total separate air-gapped copy of your data. As we're 100% SaaS, you don't need to have a presence in AWS at all. You don't even need an AWS account. All the infrastructure is managed by Druva, and it's encrypted using an encryption key that is unique to you. All you guys need to do is make sure that you have the appropriate backup policies created and they're assigned to the correct resources. So on this slide here, there's a lot of things going on here, but there's a lot of things on this slide here about what we can protect. I'll go through this more in detail when we get into the console, because it looks a bit better than talking through it in the slide. This is just a quick highlight slide of Druva. So we are currently running over 6 billion backups a year for over 5,000 global customers. We can store your data in 20 different regions around the world, and we have over 300 petabytes of deduplicated data under management in those regions currently. We take pride in our customer experience across every touch point, and that is demonstrated in our Net Promoter Score of 89. So talking about a new data protection solution is all well and good, but we know that none of us wake up in the morning and just decide to change for the fun of it. It's never going to get approved that way either. So we have to find key reasons that to do this. And these are the 5 key reasons that we normally see that drive this change. Number 1 clearly is ransomware recovery. It's taken center stage as probably the most immediate and urgent IT priority, given the increasing frequency and impact of cyber attacks. Sophos actually released a report recently that surveyed 3,000 IT leaders across America, EMEA, and APAC. 66% of those said they experienced a ransomware attack in 2023. Concerningly, 46% of those that answered said they paid the ransom to get the data back. So businesses need to prioritize not just backup now, but also data resiliency. The next 2, they always go together. Word comes down from above. We need you to reduce your cost and complexity, but you also need to modernize, which now comes in the form of move to cloud. So Druva can tick those boxes by reducing the cost and complexity of physical infrastructure, but also starting the journey to cloud if you haven't already. The 4th one there, so empowering people. So it's no secret that hybrid and remote work is the new norm. While it provides flexibility, how do we do this securely? Production environments that were previously only accessible from within the office now need to be accessed remotely. There's also added complexities with completing tasks remotely that were normally done on site. Customers' RTOs are getting stretched now with somebody having to travel in from home to actually go and put backup tapes into a library. And then lastly, business is always looking for a way to work smarter, and the flavor now is to focus on AI. Druva, we can add value here with features like unused data activity or our advanced ransomware recovery, which ensures clean and fast recoveries if you do have an event. So what is the difference between legacy or traditional backup and Druva? So traditional backups were aimed at recovering files that a user had lost or deleted, or servers that had died that needed to be recovered. Getting that data backed up to on-prem disk storage was the easiest way to do this, and then moving data off to tape or more recently off to cloud for long-term archive. The original challenge with this was right-sizing capacity. Extra storage doesn't turn up instantly, so you're needing to buy capacity for 1, 3, or sometimes 5 years in advance. The next challenge is making it secure. Now that malicious threats are targeting your backup infrastructure, they're hoping that if you don't have a way to recover quickly, you'll be more likely to pay the ransom. That means patching and maintenance of all your backup infrastructure, whether it's the servers it runs on or the software itself, needs to be a very high priority. Taking time away from internal resources that could be doing better things than patching your backup infrastructure. After all of this, there are multiple vendors involved, separate warranty and maintenance contracts to manage, or different support centers to deal with if there is an issue. So Druva, we're built on 3 pillars: autonomous protection, rapid response, and guaranteed recovery. So fundamental to Druva is the concept of autonomous protection, which is Druva does it for you as opposed to the traditional do-it-yourself. Autonomous protection lets you focus on other things, again, rather than managing or patching your backups. The data is securely hosted, fully managed by Druva. You're free from the complexities of hardware and software management. And the SaaS models ensures continuous optimization, self-healing, automatic and regular updates, and guaranteeing that the platform remains at the forefront of your data protection. Finally, security is a priority. With encryption in flight and at rest, the data is also air-gapped from the primary environment, shielding it from threats that target your production. Druva is committed to rapid response. We've got 24-hour continuous monitoring of the backup environment with proactive notifications for potential issues. If we see mass deletion events, encryption events, or things like that, we will alert you proactively and say, hey, something's going on. Druva offers built-in zero trust security, and it connects with the EDR tools, issuing alerts, again, for data deletions, encryptions, access activity, and allowing you to proactively assess those and minimize an incident's impact as quickly as possible. The advantage of this is that all the infrastructure required to run this is hosted and managed by Druva. Nothing for you guys to host or manage yourself. And then lastly, at the core is data resiliency. This is the ability to recover when needed. And when the recovery needs to happen, it has to be guaranteed. So guaranteed recovery consists of always on service that's delivered via the cloud, ensuring data is continuously available and ready to go. Advanced ransomware recovery feature, which we can automatically reconstruct the latest and clean data files into a golden snapshot with built-in malware scans acting as a safeguard against reinfection. Automated workflows allow you to execute an orchestrated recovery of your virtual machines, putting them into a sandbox to validate them before we restore them into production. And finally, Druva's dedicated support is readily available and free to assist with any and all recovery efforts. Druva support isn't just there for when something's broken. If you're going through an event, whether that is ransomware, whether there's a mass data loss, data centers burnt down, anything like that, Druva support will be there to assist you until the recovery is complete. All right, so I promise this is my final slide, and then we're going to go and jump into the console and actually show you what it looks like. But this is kind of just the quick summary of what we've talked about here. So with Druva, you don't need to think about infrastructure. No need to procure hardware, figure out the racking, the cooling, installing the software. You don't need to manage the security patching or the upgrades. You don't need to coordinate multiple vendors. You don't need to buy several years worth of capacity so you can grow into it. Only buy what you need. And if you grow faster than expected, you can scale up quickly and easily. And lastly, and most importantly, because all this infrastructure is managed and air-gapped away from your production environment, you don't have to worry about your backup data not being secure. Chris, while I flick my screen over, was there anything that you wanted to jump in there with?
No, I reckon get into the console.
So this is the Druva console. So as I said, it is a SaaS service. So when you log in, this is what you see. And the benefit is that we can piecemeal this, right? So enterprise workloads being on-prem stuff, Hyper-V, VMware, all that kind of stuff. Endpoints is where Druva started back in 2008. To be honest, it's probably a bit of a declining market for it at the moment with the invention of SharePoint and OneDrive and things like that. But there's still a market for it, and it's mainly around executives. Right? Those are the people that we trust the least to put their data where they need to. They're the ones not using OneDrive or not using SharePoint, and they're the ones to most likely leave their laptop on a plane, in a pub, in an Uber, somewhere like that. So yeah, very, very good. It's a good attach and a good thing to do to kind of complement the M365 protection that we do as well. Down here, you'll see, any critical alerts. We've moved this screen to the middle here so that we can see just right when you jump into it from the main screen, any alerts that we've got going on and go and dive into them. We've got your backup trends. So, this is what we'd expect from a stable environment of it just growing ever so slightly. But as I talked about in my slides, we do analytics on stuff. If we were to see this go through the roof, normally means that there's ransomware or something going on in your environment. So we'll alert on that. Also, if this dives off down to zero, maybe someone's deleted stuff before they walked out the door or something like that. And again, we'll alert on that. Active support cases, you can see any support cases you've got going on and go and jump into them directly from here. And then, as I talked about, we are in 20 storage regions around the world, but we can provision only the storage regions that you need and keeping data in the location that you need. Most commonly, it'll be in Sydney and AP Southeast 2, but we do have multinational customers and we can do all the data sovereignty stuff. So making sure US data stays in the US, UK data stays in the UK, and Australia data stays here. So without clicking around the console and going into everything in depth, from the all services screen, this is everything that we can do. So enterprise workloads, VMware, that's VMware, whether it's on-prem or VMC in AWS or VMware in Azure. Hyper-V also includes Azure HCI. We can do Nutanix AHV, file servers, NAS, SQL, Oracle, SAP, Azure VMs, and AWS workloads as well. For VMware, we have a disaster recovery feature too, which is where you can sync servers that we've backed up out of the Druva cloud into your own AWS environment. So you don't need another second data center. And in the event that you have an outage on production, we can fail over into AWS, automatically launch them. You can access them from there. And then when it's done, fail them back and move back to on-prem. Endpoints, we talked about laptops, desktops, mobile devices. We do M365, so Exchange Online, OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams, Groups, and public folders. Google Workspace, the same with Gmail, Google Drive, and Shared Drive. And then a big market that we're seeing for us at the moment that's really expanding is Salesforce. The Salesforce protection market is fairly small. And the companies that do protect Salesforce only protect Salesforce. We are one of the few, if not the only one, that gives the option to protect everything, including your Salesforce, from this one screen here. So that's the data protection part, backup and restore, kind of the unsexy part of IT. As I said, no one's coming and replacing their backup infrastructure just because they woke up one day and decided to. But now we want to use that data for more than just backup and recovery. So cyber resilience stuff, security events, looking at unusual data activity, so deletion events, modification events, encryption events, looking at your file servers. It also applies to M365, VMs as well. We'll alert on those if we're seeing events that are outside the baseline of what we normally see in your environment. It could be nothing, but it also is a good way to determine blast radius. It's not a replacement for a Splunk or a Darktrace or things like that, but if you are going through an event, having data to determine the blast radius and where you need to go back to is invaluable. And then ransomware recovery. So if you do get hit by an event, being able to automate the recovery. So using AWS microservices, using AI behind it, you can give it a few indicators of compromise, and we will scan through all your snapshots between a period of time that you give us and make sure all the files that come back are the latest versions before they were changed to whatever they were changed to or before they were infected. Make sure that it's clean, and we put them all back into one spot for you to just go and do a single click recovery. Otherwise, if anyone's been through a ransomware event, we know that there's some poor backup admin that's going through 50 or 60 snapshots one at a time to figure out what's clean, what's not. Eventually, they're going to get sick of it, and we're just going back 3 weeks, and that's the point in time we're going to go back to, and you'll end up losing more data than what you've actually lost through the ransomware event. So automating that task, make sure that it's clean, it's quick. We'll scale up AWS in the background to make sure it runs as quickly as possible, and then it makes it really easy. We give you a report afterwards as well, shows you which files we took back from when, so that you can go and report back to management of this is what was impacted and this is where we went back to. Lastly, on the data governance side, so this is aimed at the SaaS app stuff, so M365 and OneDrive, SharePoint, e-discovery, so we can put users on legal hold, use the backup data for legal hold stuff, providing information to legal or HR or things like that if we need to. You can also give third parties access to this by creating them their own account and giving them direct link to that e-discovery case. So if you've got third-party legal involved, federated search, doing file search or email search across that backup data to go and find them rather than per user. And then also sensitive data governance. So sensitive data governance is backward looking. We're looking at the backup data. So looking for things like credit card information, PII, but it is a regex. So you can set it to be anything you want, put in keywords, put in phrases, things like that. And it's a very cost-effective way to do this rather than some of the other tools that are proactive and going to stop stuff at the front. Requires a whole team to manage and infrastructure behind it. Using AWS to do this itself, we look at the backup data and then alert you on it, and then you can go and deal with it as it's happened. So that's what we've got from the all services screen there. And again, everything that we can do from this one screen. To just dive into one more area here. As you would expect from any enterprise tool, we support single sign-on. It's any SAML2 IDP provider, but Azure AD being the primary one. The benefit if you use Azure AD is all your conditional access policy, existing conditional access policies and MFA triggers will come through. We have geofencing as well. SaaS service is a blessing and a curse. If somebody gets their credentials phished and you don't have geofencing set up, then somebody can log in from somewhere around the world. So set up geofencing is very important, making sure people are logging in from either your office or they're at least connected to VPN. Now, see, it's about a 50-50 split now between people wanting to connect this to Azure AD or people wanting it to be totally air-gapped. Customers are worried now that if somebody gets access to their environment, the first thing they're going to do is create themselves an account in AD and then go and give themselves access to the backup tool. So we support local password policies. You can manage them here at the top. And then we also have built-in multi-factor authentication as well, which is mandatory. They have to set up MFA. It either has to be via SMS or it has to be via an app if they're using local passwords. Lastly, we support a bunch of APIs. They are event-based APIs, so getting events ingested to your SOC or your SIEM. That comes from our full immutable audit trail, so what admins are doing, what's happening in the tool, but also we're starting to have orchestrated recovery stuff coming through here as well, so being able to launch backups or launch recoveries en masse if required from whatever tools that you're using. That's the kind of quick run through that we've got through from Druva. Chris, I guess I'll pass it back to you, and I'm happy to take any questions that you've got or anyone's got.
Kye, do you want to go through and just show like some of the backed up M365
Sure.
mailboxes, what you can do with the restores, go in and maybe have a look at Teams and that sort of stuff as well, just to give them an idea of the console and how easy it is to use?
Sure. So yeah, the way that we deploy M365 is very, very easy. This one's obviously configured, and we can see it's reconfigured here. If it wasn't, the button moves to the middle and it says install. So you log in by using an account that's got global admin permissions, and we deploy the enterprise app. So we only need that global admin account once, and then once that's done, we're using the enterprise app to securely communicate. So we don't have a super privileged service account sitting around waiting for somebody to do something improper with it. We're using the enterprise app to communicate. So once that's done, it'll run an inventory on your environment and everything will appear here. And we can kind of quickly see the breakdown of, what's being protected and what the breakdown is, how the license consumption is, and any activities we've got going on, and then the success and failure of the different areas within M365. Green is good, everything's being backed up successfully. There'll be a red here if there's a failure, but we'll also call out the things that are never being backed up. Not backing something up is just as bad as a failure, so we will call that out as well here for you guys to go and see that. The way that we assign backup policies is via profiles in M365. So you can create as many profiles as you want in here. We know that one size does not fit all. We want to back up the legal team and the exec team more often than we want to do the sales guys. So we can set that here and assign them all their individual retention policies and frequencies as well. If I jump into this one very quickly. So once we've got in here, we enable Exchange Online backup. Big important thing about using the enterprise app is we can back up the recoverable items folder. So what that is when a user deletes a mail and it goes to the recycle bin, when they empty the recycle bin, it goes into the recoverable items folder, which they can't see. That is the benefit of using the enterprise app, but it also means that we don't need to run a backup every 5 minutes to try and pick up mail that people have got and then potentially deleted in between backup windows. We can run a backup once a day or twice a day, and because we've got that recoverable items folder, which is being purged by Microsoft every 2 weeks, we'll be able to go and restore that file of email as required. Daily, weekly, monthly snaps is what we do for OneDrive. And by default, we're retaining emails for 7 years. But again, you can set this to be whatever you want, set them all to 0 and we'll retain everything forever. You're free to do whatever you need to here. And lastly, an important one, if anyone's gone through a cyber insurance audit recently, they ask about how you make your backups immutable. And that's how we do this through the data lock feature here. With data lock turned on, the only way that data leaves this platform is when it ages out via retention policies here. So once
okay, Kye, so a quick question then on that. If your backups are immutable, someone gets in, creates an admin account in the Druva platform, are they able to then go and change that and delete the backups?
No, they can't. So there is a big message that comes up that says when you turn on data lock that says it's irreversible. To be honest, it's not irreversible. We can turn it off, but the last time I had to turn it off, it took 4 weeks. We have to log an engineering task. There's stat decks being signed, CISOs talking to CISOs, making sure that this is a legitimate request and not somebody going rogue and doing something. Data lock would be useless if someone could just call the service desk and say, "Hey, turn it off." So we do make sure that it is a difficult by design process to make sure that what's happening is legitimate. So once we've got backup profiles created, in the interest of time, I won't show how we go and provision users, but you can do this through AD, assigning groups and creating different profiles and assigning them to different groups so people get added automatically. If we go to find a user. So this is me as an admin wanting to go and do a restore for Hayden. We click on restore. We've got 2 different options here. We can do Exchange Online or OneDrive. This is what we're protecting. If Hayden's one of those executives that I talked about where we're protecting his endpoint as well, this will also show here. So you can kind of get that whole user view, whether the file's on his desktop or whether it's on his OneDrive, whether it's in his email, we will have backed it up and you'll be able to recover it. And then it's just as simple as going in here. We've got a few different options. Here I can go and select the snapshot that I want to go back to. So back to the specific point in time. And I can also walk through the folder structure here or the mailbox structure. This is really handy when Hayden says, "Hey, I've got a folder called important in my inbox. I don't actually know what mail's inside it, but I deleted it and I know that I need it back." I can just as easily go through here, walk through the folder structure and go and find that specific folder and go and restore it. Restore it to the same user account. and do an in-place restore, we'll go and send it right back to where it was when we found it, when we backed it up. Alternatively, if Hayden's saying, hey, I need you to restore a piece of mail from 2019, if we went into the restore and sent it right back to where it was when we found it, it would go back to 2019 in his mailbox, and there is zero chance that he would be able to find it. So what we can do is we can restore it, and we can go restore as a copy, and we will create a folder in that inbox and go and put that mail inside there. Make it really, really easy for him to find it. But we also don't have any requirement for Hayden to still have a mailbox anymore in M365. Maybe Hayden's left the business years ago, but his manager's asking for files or folders and things like that. We can restore to a different user by just selecting their name in here and going next. And this will go automatically create a folder in their inbox and go and select or place all that mail that you selected in that folder in the new person's inbox. So really, really easy. So this is good if we, know the folder we want to go to, or we're walking through the folder structure, but maybe we don't know. Maybe we don't know exactly what date the mails come through. We just kind of got the subject, and that's what we know. We can filter on to, from, or the date. So again, as we've talked about in the presentation, we're using AWS microservices. We will scale up in the background, and we can run searches really, really quick on the data that we've got because we've indexed it. So this is doing a search across Hayden's mailbox all the way back to 2021 for anything that's got Druva in it. And you can see that these have all come back here. We can select them. Same options for restore, or as an admin, I can select all of these and I can download them as a PST. Everything that I've done here is recorded in the audit trail. We know some compliance people, Bristol, and they say, hey, backup admins, they've got access to all this data. I can go and walk through the CEO's mailbox or go and look at stuff like that. Everything that I've done here is recorded in an immutable audit trail, but we can also restrict this with role-based access. Create a profile that's executives only or HR or something, and only give specific people access to that profile. So general help desk staff are not able to go and see those mails or go and look through those folders.
There's also an option to turn that off though, right? So that users can't actually go and look inside that mail. Admin users, right?
Correct. So there is a full option in here where we can turn it off and make it completely self-service. So users can log in themselves using single sign-on. They've got a login.druva.com. They go and put in their credentials and they see their own mailbox, their own OneDrive, and they can go and do their own restores. So if you've got something that's super critical, don't even let admins have access to it and make them completely self-service. So that's from the M365 point of view. The other one that we get asked about a lot is obviously SharePoint. Lots of data going into SharePoint now. It's just growing massively and massively, and lots of important data going into SharePoint. So we have auto configuration for SharePoint as well. We don't want somebody to have to come into this every single day, make sure the new SharePoint site's been added, get it added to the backup policy, because inevitably someone will forget. And then that's the one that people want to ask to be restored, is the one that hasn't been backed up. So in the settings here, we have auto configuration. You can automatically, as a catch-all, apply the default backup settings that we see when we run the inventory. So we'll back it up once a day, retain it forever apparently, and exclude everything that we want in there. But we know that one size doesn't fit all. So if we have something that's more important, we want to back it up more often or retain it for longer. For example, HR employee files. It's just as simple as going directly into this site, and in here I can go and give it its own backup and retention settings. So you have the best of both worlds there. You have the catch-all that does everything, knowing that whenever a new site's created, it's going to get picked up and going to be backed up. But if we've got something that's outside the norm, we can come in here and give it its own settings. So if we want to go and do a restore for SharePoint, so we can get very granular with our SharePoint restores. Again, you'll notice this screen is very much the same as what we had before, and we do this by design. Whether you're doing M365, whether you're doing on-prem stuff, file servers, VMs, this screen will look exactly the same, so you don't have to go and learn a new screen when we're doing this. So again, pick the snapshot I want to go back to. And now at this point, I can select the whole SharePoint site and download it as a zip file. I can restore it over the top of itself to a point in time. I can restore it to a new SharePoint site with a new name and a new URL. I can go and drill down and restore just parts of it, just the forms inside it, or just the documents folder. Can even get as granular as just restoring the settings over the top. So this is a pretty niche example, but we do have customers using it. HR employee files, only HR have access to it. Somebody goes in there and fat fingers it and gives everybody access, and all permissions inherit. It's not impossible to unwind, but it's going to take some poor SharePoint admin half a day to go and set those permissions back, and therefore forget someone and have to deal with it for a couple of days. So what you can do is you can go back to the point in time when we knew that those permissions were correct and restore just the settings over the top, and it will go and restore all those settings and permissions without taking the files back as well. So it's a pretty niche example, but it does show how granular we can get with the backup and restore of SharePoint. Any questions from anyone on the M365 protection? I don't have the chat up in, so Chris, fire any at me if any are coming.
There's been no questions in the chat so far that I can see. Can you see any, Paul? Guessing that's a no.
Cool. All right, so let's quickly jump into, I guess, the enterprise workload. So the on-prem stuff. So I said enterprise workloads now consists of Azure VM, AWS, VMware, Hyper-V, and Nutanix, and then file servers, SQL, and all that kind of stuff as well. File servers we can deploy via an agent, and the same with SQL, but we also do have the ability to do file level recovery from a VM level where you can do file level recovery without having to deploy an agent. So again, this is the summary screen that you will see just for enterprise workloads. We'll show you summary of how everything is going, any specific alerts, the backup jobs that we've got going, and then more importantly, the backup data. So Druva charges on back-end terabyte, so after dedupe, after compression. We're normally seeing at least a dedupe of about 3 to 1. So you can see here how much data you're actually consuming on the cloud compared to what that front-end source plus change is. Go into one of these. So if we go to VMware. Cool. So the way that we deploy VMware is we deploy a backup proxy in the environment, and it connects to the vCenter. We connect through port 443 using an encryption key that is unique to you. As I said in the slides, every encryption key is unique to the customer. We don't have access to it. There is terms and conditions that you'll sign when you sign up with Druva that says if you lose your admin accounts, we can't help you. We don't have access to the key to decrypt the data. So very, very secure, out through port 443, so we don't have to open up crazy ports in the firewall or anything like that to get out. As long as we can get out through HTTPS traffic, we can connect to Druva Cloud. Once the backup proxy is deployed and you've put in the activation key, the vCenter will appear here. And it will run an inventory. We run one every day, but we'll run one on demand at the start to go and find all those VMs that you've got. You can run one on demand as well by hitting the button if you've got new VMs that you've added and you want to get them added straight away. Backup policies, again, very simple. We do not need to overcomplicate this screen. So we are doing daily, weekly, monthlies, and yearlies. We support data going off to the long-term retention as well. So this is moving data off to the cold tier. It is obviously cheaper to go there, cheaper storage, but you don't lose any visibility of it. All those tools that I talked about in the slide for unusual data activity, advanced ransomware recovery, they all work even on data that's off in the cold tier. Data lock, same options we talked about before. If you've got data lock turned on, the only way that data leaves this platform is when it ages out via these retention policies here. Backup frequencies, so we can do dailies, weeklies, hourlies, set them what time we want to start, set the backup window, and most importantly, set the max bandwidth. So a couple of important things here. We do a first full and a forever incremental, and it is truly forever incremental. The way that we're architected, we don't have to run synthetic fulls or anything like that to complete the chain. And we can lose incrementals in the middle and still keep running incrementals. So this backup window is only really important for when we're running that first full backup. Then after that, we're only running incrementals, and they're very quick. If you do run into the end of the backup window, it is just a pause. We know with some previous legacy backups, if you had 8 hours worth of backups in a 7-hour window, that last hour of backups would always get missed because when you hit the end of the window, it would stop and then it would start again from the start and just back up those saved 7 hours of machines. We will do a pause. We'll send you an alert saying, hey, we've had to pause the backups, and then it will start again when it's allowed and pick up from where it left off. And lastly, max bandwidth, very important for an on-prem environment. We did have a customer a few months ago that got confused between megabits per second and gigabits per second and tried to set it to 1024 gigabits per second. Now, obviously, the limitation is going to be the customer's link. It's not going to be AWS. So we did crush their link and ran it flat out. So we've got a bit of a safety in here now as well that says that I can only set this to, I think it's 2 is the max gigabits per second I can set, unless we go and get it enabled by support. So important to know your max bandwidth. We're going out through the traffic, or out through the link that goes to the internet. So make sure that we factor in enough bandwidth for everything else to work as well. Once we've got backup policies created, again, we don't want you to have to come into this every single day and make sure that they're being assigned to the new VMs and do that manually. There is a better way for you to spend your time. So we have auto configuration, which is automatically applying backup policies based on VMware folder, data store, hosting cluster, or if you're using VMware tags, assigning via VMware tags. Come in and set this up once, assign the tag, assign what backup policy it gets, select which storage region you want it to go to, and then that's it. When we run that inventory once a day, we also update this mapping rule as well. So making sure that new VMs have been picked up and added to the correct policies. Depending on how complex your environment is, this maybe will take you an hour to set up, but then after that, you never have to go and touch it again. As long as the right tags are being applied, they'll automatically end up in Druva and start being backed up. So now that we've got backup policies created, we've got them automatically being assigned to VMs and they're being backed up successfully, we want to go and do a restore. And when my screen loads, at least we know it's a live demo and there's nothing pre-recorded here. When my screen
But Kye, while you're playing around a little bit, I've got a bit of a question for you, more from a business commercial side of things. So maybe I'm in the wrong crowd here, but I was wondering, you recently won the AWS Storage Partner of the Year side of things, and obviously that's doing a lot of work in the AWS marketplace from a commercial standpoint. But what do you think are the sort of main reasons why that's actually occurred from a Druva perspective?
Yeah, look, I think it's the options that we provide customers by having air-gapped backup. A lot of the and managed infrastructure is, I think, a real differentiator for us. If you look at a lot of other people in the market, it is all bring your own, right? So while it's in AWS or while it's in Azure, that is all having to be run by the customer, set up by the customer, and then is it truly air-gapped if you have the keys to go and be able to do that stuff? So I think that next level of what we've been able to do with AWS to provide the customer a totally air-gapped and secure solution is probably went a long way to us winning that award.
Nice.
All right.
It's fair to say though that with all major cloud operators, you're pretty ecumenical about people's storage from a multi-cloud perspective, aren't you?
Yeah, correct. And it's a good story now for especially with the Azure protection as well. Being able to back up Azure into AWS, provide that cloud resiliency, and there's no ingress or egress charges with Druva at all for anything that we're protecting. M365, Azure, AWS, all the ingress and egress charges are included in the cost that you're paying. So taking away that bill shock that people are potentially getting, with cloud providers, with costs running out of control or sending data up to the cloud and then getting a big bill, it is not something that we have to worry about with Druva.
I know we're running short of time, but just a quick question from me on licensing. I know that your license per user, there's data included. If you could just go through, like you mentioned, that user would leave the organization and the mailbox isn't backed up anymore, but we've got a thing called preserved users. So if you just work on that. Yeah,
sure. So yeah, there's two licensing models that we've got depending on what we're protecting. So for user-based things, so M365, Google, Salesforce, and endpoints is done per user. The default SKU for M365 is 50 gig per user, and it goes into a pool. So if you have 100 users, you'll get 5 terabytes of storage, SharePoint, OneDrive, all that kind of stuff will pull out of it. Benefit is that you can have a user that has 100 gig in a mailbox and another user that has 10. That all pulls out of that pool together. So that's for that. Preserved users. So if we're backing up M365 users and then they leave, so they no longer have an M365 license, but we need to retain their data for compliance purposes, we can remove them to a preserved user license. So we'll take one more backup of their account and then put them in preserved. And what will happen is we'll retain their data as per their retention policies. Data will start to age out as you've set, but it doesn't mean that they have to have an M365 license anymore. They don't even need to have an account. You can get rid of them totally, like I demonstrated with the restore. If you do want to get that data back, you can go and restore them to a different user or download them. For the on-prem stuff, or enterprise stuff, so Hyper-V, VMware, Azure, AWS, is a credit-based system. So 1 credit equals 1 deduped terabyte per month. We charge on back-end consumption, not front-end. So after deduped, after compression. And as I said, it includes all the ingress and egress charges, all the patching, all the maintenance, all the support, everything. It's just that one price that you need to pay.
Yeah, so I mean that's what we found so great about it, right? You've got nothing to worry about.
No bill shock. That's a lot of people I think got that at the start when they're moving stuff to cloud. Right, it's good to get stuff off to cloud, but there was a pretty crazy bill shock that was getting to some people.
Very good.
Anyone got any questions that like Chris or Kye to throw around the room and discuss? Final answer, because we want to make sure we take care of everyone's time.
Well, everyone should have their Uber Eats voucher in the mailbox.
Excellent.
If you haven't got it, reach out to Paul. We'll make sure you get it.
Yep. Please do.
And I know there was one question here from one person on the chat about licensing. If you want to have a chat about your specific use case and don't want to share it here, then obviously get in touch with us. We can go through a much deeper dive demo if you like. We can show you our environment, and then we can get some pricing out for you as well, so you know what you're talking about when it comes to costs for this as well. So yeah, feel free to reach out at any time for us. And yeah, as it says there, look out for an invite to an exclusive lunch and learn very soon. And yeah, have a play around with the TCO tool to see what you can find. Happy to help with all of these things.
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate the Murdoch Webster team for inviting me today, and look forward to hearing from some of you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, team.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Enjoy the rest of your day.